everybody. I'm Carson Grubaugh. Welcome to Living the Line. Today with me is my beautiful partner, Tori, for another edition of Torie-Talks. What are we looking at here today, baby?
Today we are looking at the Concierge at Hokkyoku department store by Tsuchika Nishimura, and it is so freaking cute.
This is, yes, absolutely right down the middle of if you had like a Ben and Jerry's cute ice cream with a cute core.
Yeah.
It's like that cute.
It's very, not just cute style, but like, oh, so wholesome. I just, loved it.
Yeah, I'll admit, this is from Seven Seas Entertainment, and Seven Seas has that other series, The Girl from the Other Side, which I also think is super adorable and cute, but has had like very weird pedo vibes, and then that artist. So I was a little skeptical about this one at first because it has the same type of imagery too, where you have like these big kind of creature things and then the little people. But this book has none of that. So I was very, very pleasantly surprised. This is exactly what I wanted it to be. Nice to see.
This is actually one of my favorite images in the whole book.
Yeah, and it's nice to see it in color because it is one of my favorite images. So the setup of the book is pretty obvious just by the title. You have a character, the main character works at a gigantic department store for animals, and you can see that the animals are in here at scale, like the appropriate scale to the human size, and it's her job to make sure they get what they want.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, there's no more need to discuss it. They're just like throwing you in, like, get going. And it's something that's so funny though, just starting from the beginning, it's something I really like about Japanese manga is that it has there's always this sense of striving for excellence in everything, right? Like, she's a novice concierge.
Oh, yeah.
But can she become a master concierge? But it's like, all she's doing is helping ferrets shop for a wallet or like a gift, a sheep shop for a gift for his daughter. But it's like, but she has to master it and handle the situation perfectly. And I like that focus on like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not efficiency, but like mastery of what you're doing and like pride in your work, even if it's just being a concierge at a mall.
Yeah, and I think we've definitely lost that, like as a culture, or even that it's seen as something negative, like imposing, like almost fascist to be like
don't be a try-hard, don't be like a simp.
Like why are you micromanaging me? Like my boss is up my ass. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm definitely not a believer in micromanaging or anything like that, but I do believe in like taking pride in what you do and things like that. And I was struck with that, like how very seriously everyone is taking this. Like there's no character in this.
Yeah.
There's no human working at this store that doesn't want to be the best damn concierge that has ever worked at Hokkyoku. And it's like, that's in an American story, most of those people would be either completely nondescript or they wouldn't give a shit about their work.
And and that leads to that desire drives all the story, right?
Yeah.
Like in this case, you have where like the embarrassment she faces as doing a poor job when she accidentally offends this lady because she has to take her jacket, but it's a possum mother and the possums are on the back. That's like the super cute humor that's in the book.
Yeah.
But it also shows what you're talking about. She's so devastated to get it wrong. And it shows why we have like a results-oriented mentality in our society. But I think in their society, it's not as, like, the results obviously matter, but the results matter to the extent that they are indicative of personal improvement. And like by getting better at your job, you become better. Whereas I think in our society, we don't see that other side of it, and so from the transactional viewpoint, it doesn't seem worth it. It seems like, yeah, you're a simp, you're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's like growth mindset versus transactional mindset, and it's like, well, maybe, like, obviously that's been used in a predatory way, but like, yeah, maybe I will take a position that pays a little less for a while so I can learn from someone who's really, really good and then go on to be even better. But people would be like, well, no, screw that. They're taking advantage of you. Like, I'm going to go work in this place that pays me more, even if I'm not doing work that's as important. Or,
and of course, people are always going to take one stance or the other, when the truth is, like, you know, like, be transactional and enough minded that you don't get taken advantage of, but also see the value in the hard work to get good at something, what that does to you as a person.
But anyways, all of that to say, I just thought it was really charming and endearing that Akino is really determined to be, and everyone there is determined to be, a really good concierge and takes the jobs very seriously. Like, it really matters to her that she offended this poor woman and all her possum babies are hissing at her. Like, and I thought that was so cute.
Well, and that's what you have to do, and that's one of the things I love about manga so much, is that until manga came over here and influenced us, there's no chance you would get a story about a concierge just doing her job. Like an elevator pitch. I want to show someone doing their job at a department store for animals.
Yeah.
Well, who's the bad guy? Well, you know, just like this lady, they don't have the right pair of shoes, and people would be
She's
like
upset about it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, that's not a story. Or like this, I thought this was hysterical. There's some random tiger like walking through the mall yawning, and this peacock is like, my beloved, like, oh, he went, look at those fangs, and he's like, you know, because he is a peacock, and he, like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's like, well, you could just hide away your feathers so he doesn't see us. And he's like, how could I hide these? You know, and it's so dramatic. And this is like a scene that I've watched in an actual like anime or manga done seriously, but then it's like so hysterical because it's peacocks
so
in a mall,
funny and
like
cute. Yeah.
And they're like, guys, you can't be doing this in the store. Like, you can't do mating rituals in public. And he's like, why? I can't hide myself, you know? But
this is what cracked me up, though. We can't have courtship rituals. Like, in this world where you have a department store for properly scaled sized animals.
Yeah.
They have a policy of,
because
like,
it is a mating ritual. And like, so that's basically him like pulling out his penis in front of everybody in the mall. And it's like, because that's totally what peacocks would do, because they're totally exhibitionists. So it's like, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah,
so there's every possible little advantage you could take to get a good joke is, you know, found in this story. I think that's another indicator of a really good writer, is they just not missing opportunities that are there like that.
And it's just super like lighthearted. It's super irreverent. It's obviously not taking itself seriously at all, and I love every second of it.
Like, this
and, like,
is
the
boss.
manager that just randomly like slides out from under clothes racks from nowhere and shit.
Because that's how it feels working at any kind of retail environment.
But then they show him like the actual real physics of him climbing like up a shelf and out a window so he can go like surprise someone else. And it's like, that's, but I mean, that is how it feels. Yeah. Like,
we both worked in those environments.
Air ducts and stuff. And I just loved this adorable little, I just want to be her.
She looks like my Grandma Lee so much.
She does look like your Grandma Lee. I love her. I just immediately was like, she's so precious.
And just a lot of cool, like, even though the artwork can be pretty simple, you can see like those pages where they really go all in too. But I really love the use of the tones and the textures throughout, particularly because they're nailing certain textures that I associate with the mall, like the textures of the floor, the rock textures and stuff. I think are really well handled in here.
And this is just such a funny little random thing with this penguin character. When he leaves, he's always like, okay, give me a little push please, and like she's like, okay, and just like pushes him so he can slide on his belly across the tile floor. Like, that's how he exits his conversations. It's like, I just love it.
And this is like such a kind of cute and sad image where the two penguins are making the heart, and then he's like all bummed out talking about how it's this such beautiful, sad way to confirm your love for each other. This melting ice sculpture.
Oh yeah, he's a very cute, mysterious little penguin character. But I love that that's how he exits the conversation. It's like, okay, give me a little push, thank you. Like
on the shiny purple, and you can tell this building is immaculately maintained. Like those textured surfaces I'm talking about are like waxed every night.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I just thought this is the most romantic little proposal of all time. Because she's helping this, they're like an extinct species of animals. That's the other really cute thing is like each little episode focuses on like an extinct animal and like gives you little facts about it. And these are like some kind of fox or something. But they use the ice sculpture theme to like help him propose to her, and I just thought that was so romantic and sweet, and
her little ear like hearing it instead of seeing it,
and the clink clink, and she's like, oh, something fell, and I was like, oh, it was just so sweet. And it's like all those little things, like there are no bad guys, it's just situations where this guy's really nervous to propose to his girlfriend and they're gonna help him figure out how to do it, and it's like, that's a great story.
And it's funny to have something that's so wholesome where she's also basically like, we need to get these two to make a baby, like we need to make sure.
No, they're not even like talking about that. It's just
just in terms of the endangered species, is that they still kept it so wholesome, but there's this underlying, like an adult understands more of the situation. So I like that they're able to, the point is that they're able to couch some bigger, more serious thematics within the kind of cutesy little things. So it's a really like, this is one of those things that's the same like high wire act that Disney and Pixar are so good at, that this is totally appropriate for kids, but adults can find a lot in it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would definitely give this to, like a young kid I knew and think that they would like it, but I personally would recommend it to adults as well.
And like can't wait for volume 2.
Yeah, I think it's volume 1. And I just like this. This is so cute. These little meerkat monks and their little Buddhist monk robes right there. How adorable. I mean, and so smart too, because they all like, standing up, like.
Yeah, just the acting of them standing there, their attention to the tree.
Like it totally makes sense, having like seen the way all the meerkats will just pop up and like stand, and like together. And more use of the tone textures to get those mall. It's so mall. I mean, it feels like every mall you've ever been in, except for this really cool. I've been in malls that are like 5-6 stories tall, and they have like, you just haven't been in like a mall in a big ass building in New York or San Francisco. I've never gotten to go to like a super mall like that. Yeah, this is totally like a big ass department store, and there's one in San Francisco like this, and there's some places in Michigan like this. I just wouldn't go to a place like that. I wouldn't want to spend that much time shopping anywhere, but. No, you got to go check them out, because like this is this beautiful design. I mean, this is a striking image, and having this tree growing up the middle like that and stuff. We'll get that put in our house. Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, and I thought this was a really good. I don't know who this person is yet. I don't think they've explained. I think he's the CEO or something. He's like an important guy who's been like watching Akino as she's going through her training and stuff, and they've had this altercation with this seal lady who is being a disruptive customer, and finally he's saying like that she's infamous for being a tough customer, like being a problem, and that you should praise the wary, and he's saying a lot of animals were overhunted into extinction, but then he's saying, but the unwary ones who let threats get close brought it on themselves. And I'm like, that's a really weird statement to make. Like, that is it the fault of, like, the, Well, I think when you're talking about this environment where everyone's trying to become the better versions of themselves, then... No, I I get it. And like, in this case, he's saying like, oh, like she should have noticed like the weird behavior that was gonna key her in on like this woman being demanding and nuts and stuff and all this. I get what he's saying, like be wary, be cautious. But then it's like it's a weird thing to say because he's literally saying like, it's like that damn dodo should have just been a little bit more. It's saying.
It's kind of like saying, oh, you shouldn't have wore your your skirt that short if you didn't want to get catcalled.
It's like, no, we hunted them into extinction. Not that they were too stupid to not get hunted into extinction. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, they should have left it at like this.
Yeah, it was just a weird statement. And I was like, I get what he was trying to make, but it really did not land. I think that was probably the only part of the whole story that I was like, what? Like, no?
What are you saying?
Oh, and I just marked this because it is like one of my favorite images in the whole book. And I was actually really disappointed that like so much of it is lost in the gutter like that.
Yeah, it's just an
really
unfortunate
kind of destroys
thing.
I understand like from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, and
it was that or crunching
from the artist's point of view too, you understand why they wanted it right smack in the middle, but it is unfortunate.
Because it really like versus the colored version on the front that's together.
I would have, you know what I would have done? I would have flipped this way.
And done it long.
And had where you have to turn the page, but done it long, because then it would look more like the vertical nature of the elevator, and then the cut would have been like here.
Through the middle, which would, I don't know, something about it just was disappointing, because I like that image so much, and it broke it up in such a weird way.
Is, I think I saw that, I saw that elephant on the cover, that's what caught my eye, and then when I looked up the book, I saw this online, and I was like, that looks awesome. I'm totally getting it.
It is a really good drawing of a woolly mammoth, though. Yeah.
And like with his little beret and his like artsy fartsy, and that's what he is he's an artist. He's like this super famous artist that they're bringing in, and he's trying to do a show where he's showing a utopia where all animals live equally. So it has that super sweet, like cute, wholesome thing that he's going after in the story, and then that gets subverted in a fun way a little bit by the end of the story.
And I just thought this character, I think he's a weasel. He's like his manager or whatever.
He's like the agent or the manager.
Mammoth agent, and he's just completely unhinged, like explaining to her why the art needs to be rearranged and how it needs to be viewed, and he's just totally manic, and I'm like, I could see that energy, like. Yeah,
that's how those people have to be. And then the artist he's like this very slow, careful, thoughtful, nice, plotting kind of guy. And then at the end they've got this thing where they've got all of these animals in here at the opening, and he's purposely set it up on this grid. And to try and make this point of all the animals living equally, but then because they bring in these animals of all these different varieties and sizes and stuff, like it gets chaotic and someone knocks one of the sculptures over, and everyone else is really freaking out about that. But I thought that was kind of interesting because it also shows that like he truly is, as an artist, okay with the consequences of having that much variety. Is you're going to get a more chaotic environment, and stuff is more likely to go wrong because you have much more variety of viewpoints. I think they're kind of suggesting some of that, and I thought that was a really interesting point in this story.
Yeah, I thought that was super fun. And then like, I think at some point, or no, it might even be after at the end of it, once they've kind of resolved everything, they're sort of like, well, that was sort of a dumb thing to do anyways, though, right? Like, of course it wasn't going to work that way because it just, it would be too chaotic. Like, things have to be, like, thought out the way we talk about. People have different needs. Like, we all want everybody to have the same thing, but we don't all need the same thing, right? So it's like, and it's like such a perfect example of that. Of like, well, that he meant the best message behind that, but it all went terrible, and
practically didn't work,
and like ruined the exhibition and broke his like most prized piece.
But he's kind of like makes peace with that as well, because like from the artist standpoint, he he kind of gets it and sees the beauty in the moment, whereas like his manager doesn't. And,
is freaking out. Yeah, and obviously, the mammoth himself is like, well, that's art and whatever, and like that's part of the whole final discussion at the end of the book. But somebody also points out that like, well, but also it's dumb to do it that way because that doesn't work. Like.
And then this also shows the thing which you talked about, but I want to make super clear about this book because I think it's one of the things that, with everything else we've talked about already, this would already be like a must-read recommendation.
Yeah.
But then I think there's this extra like educational level to it where, because the main character animal, well, the main character is Akino, but the main character of each story, the customer that she's mainly caring for, is always an endangered animal or an extinct animal. And they even have a term for that. They're like the VIA, the very important animals. The reason the stories are based around these is because they're the ones that she has to like extra go out of her way for. But that gives them an excuse then to put in some facts. So like here it says, the woolly mammoth occupied an extensive subarctic habitat in the northern hemisphere during the late Pleistocene epoch. Whatever specimens were excavated from permafrost, excitement would mount that. Well, whenever specimens were excavated from the permafrost, excitement would mount that cloning could be a possibility, but due to such hurdles as damaged DNA, that seems impossible. So they actually put some facts in there too.
Yeah.
And those are interesting. That's another one of those examples of something that makes it more interesting for me as an adult, but also makes me more like compelled to give it to a kid. Is like, yes, this kid appropriate material, and it has like some cool little facts that a kid could be like, wow, woolly mammoths, and you're like setting up a thing that is going to cause kids to go find out more about the world.
Yeah, and like little nerdy me would have been totally excited to have a cute story that also tells me facts about animals. Like, I would have eaten this up. So great for adults, great for kids.
And you would go look up more facts, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, if you have children, this is like a must-buy book for your household. And if you don't, you like wonderful art, you like Miyazaki kind of vibes in your art, like get this book. It's a fantastic book.
Absolutely.
Centralia is an awesome, gorgeous comic by rising Dutch star Miel van de Peet. This is his first work. It's a really great sci-fi story. There's a world in the future where the sun has gotten so hot that people can't be on the ground. So they have to run around. There's a lot of conceits that go with that. You know, what is the world that looks like? And I think you can see by the art that Sean's description of this book as like a Moebius for young adults, a YA Moebius, is a really great description of this really gorgeous and like wild, wacky, fun book.